Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Golf Insider webcast and podcast. I'm Jeff Bergerson, joined by our substitute fill-in for Zachary Turcotte, Aaron Juice Johnson, the creator of many of the tools that you use on the site each week. So very happy to have you, Aaron, while Zach is off on his never-ending vacation in God knows where. I don't even know where he is this week. But
will he come back? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he will. You can find us at fantasygolfinsider.com, all the articles and tools that you need to be a successful and profitable player in fantasy golf. And this fall, football. We're offering football to all our loyal FGI members this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit on the webcast as well. If you'd do us two favors right now, if you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then also give us a good review on YouTube, on iTunes, on Stitcher. It really helps us out, and we'd appreciate it very much. So if you would do that for us. A great show today, Aaron. We're going to talk a little bit about the Northern Trust last weekend. We're going to talk about the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs this week, the formerly Deutsche Bank, this year
Right.
Dell Technologies Championship. We're going to talk a little bit about the Mayweather-McGregor fight that happened on Saturday night. That was interesting. Like I said, we're going to talk some football too. First of all, though, we got to give shout-outs to FGI members who had success last week, and there was a bunch of them. First, Chris at Wheels59 had success in the Big Four contest on DK. Looks like he quadrupled his money by his screenshot, which is never a bad thing.
Awesome.
Fantasy Wiz DFS, who has been in our shoutouts quite often, had another nice week, doubled his money in the dog leg and won a Club Pro ticket. Greg Costern, special KLK as his screen name, won the $25,000 scramble GPP on DK for $2,500. We continue to crush weekend golf more than anyone else. This week, Maureen McCarthy won a weekend GPP on DraftKings. You always see the FGI logo up top, those standings on the weekend. Justin Wahlberg took 5th out of 29,000 entries in the big $100,000 Eagle contest on FanDuel. He won $2,000 for doing that. A guy who has been in our shoutouts, it seems every week, he's just on an influential run right now. More Husker took 4th in the clubhouse this week and won another $10,000. He's won at least $60,000 in the past couple of months. And he just barely missed out on 2nd in the $25,000 prize, which he's won a couple times before, just because Dustin Johnson drilled that putt on 18. So that was a tough break for him, but still cruising along, and nothing wrong with winning $10,000, that's for sure. Longtime loyal FGI member Brent Epstein, Epi99, took 2nd in the country club for $15,000 and won a main event ticket. So congratulations to all you folks. Really nice job. The hard work is paying off. Keep it up, and we will try and give you the information that you need to keep doing that. So let's talk a little, Aaron, about the Northern Trust. How'd it go for you last week?
Well, like I was saying earlier to you, I looked at the leaderboard at the end and I said, well, I've got 40% DJ, I had 40% Spieth, I had a bunch of Rahm, Day, I had a bunch of guys at the top. Yeah, Casey, lots of Casey. But it's hard to win those because I looked at the end and
It sure is.
It wasn't a hugely profitable week for me, no.
Okay.
But I mean, I thought there was some good plays. I thought I was on them.
Sometimes that happens where you look at it and you're like, oh, I have good exposure to a lot of these guys, and for some reason they just all don't fall on the same lineup, which is a real bear. Plus, we had a couple guys who hurt my core quite a bit. Brandon Grace, oh my God, that was an epic choke to miss the cut on Friday. I'm watching Shot Tracker. He's +5 coming into Friday, and he's got to get to +2. I'm thinking the cut's going to be at maybe +3. And he just plays really well and gets within the cut line. He has 18 to play, but it's actually the 9th hole. It's his 36th hole. But it's the 9th. It's not the 18th. It's not that difficult. All he needs to do is par it. He's 120 yards out, plops it in the greenside bunker, cannot get up and down, bogeys it, misses the cut. It was dreadful because I had about 25% to 30% exposure to Grace. There are a couple other guys who blew the cut. It's kind of crazy for a week where there's only 120 guys. So few of teams had 6 of 6 on DraftKings or 8 of 8 through the cut on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's the same. It was hard for me too. I don't know what to say. It's when the field is that strong, right? I mean, the margin of error is tiny.
It is, but it was just an epic ending. It's good for golf. It was exciting to watch. Dustin Johnson drains just the huge clutch putt at the end. It surprised the hell out of Spieth. I guarantee in the back of his mind, he's got the trophy in his hand. DJ nails the putt, takes it to the playoff, and then just steps up and just nuts one right down. Cut
Perfect.
the angle.
Perfect
oh my
shot.
God.
Bent down, grabbed that tee, started walking. Perfect.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think he was 90 yards out after that shot, and he had good 80 yards on Spieth, and it just that was it right there. And then he just wedged it in to 3 feet, and it was over. Amazing ending in the playoffs.
He's a good player. That's what he does best.
He is good. Yes, he is. So I don't know. We could see a Dustin Johnson run here in the playoffs. He could just kind of take over like he's been known to do. Early in the season, he was doing it till he hurt his back at the Masters. We could see something like that, especially this week at TPC Boston, where it's kind of a bomber's course. But we'll talk a little bit about that. Before we get into the event this week, I just wanted to touch on a few things FGI members can expect in football this fall. Like I said earlier, everyone's going to get access to it who's a member of FGI. It's going to help you play your DFS football. I'm going to do a column, a GPP column like I do for golf. Zachary's going to do a preview column, and we also have some awesome tools coming too that people are going to have access to. You want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah. We're going to probably pull up some projections for the players. We're going to have that going week 1. We'll have the lineup generator that we use right now.
That's
going to
awesome.
be it's going to be formatted for football.
Fantastic.
DK, FanDuel as well, and the popular cornerback, wide receiver charts that you see around there as well.
Yep, love those.
And possibly throughout the season, maybe even a little bit more.
Sweet. Love it. Yeah, I love that wide receiver cornerback chart. I use that. I've used it the last several years, and it's huge because you identify matchups that most people aren't seeing. You know, the second cornerback or, you know, the third cornerback, who they are against the slot receiver who plays well. It's an amazing tool. So got a lot of good stuff coming out this fall for football. Let's get into this week's event, which you all tune in for. It's the Dell Technologies Championship this year, formerly the Deutsche Bank. I know it quite well because I was out at TPC Boston a couple of years ago for the Fantasy Golf World Championship. I love the course. It's one of my favorites that I've ever been to. It just has a cool feel, tons of trees. It's just a real fun course to be at. One important note, though, is that the event starts on Friday this week, so we have an extra day to prepare, and it goes Friday through Monday. Labor Day is when it ends. We're down to 98 players this week, I think. Or is it 97? Adam Scott came back, but then...
It's either 96 or 97,
yeah,
I think.
somewhere there.
97 maybe it is, yeah.
So, but we still have the top 70 and ties through the cut. So, again, we're going to want to be more aggressive with our selections. It's going to be absolutely mandatory that we get everyone through the cut this week if we're going to contend in GPPs. Cash games, maybe not if we have someone who's going to be owned by 50 or 60% of the field, which we may have with the pricing this week. But TPC Boston is 7,342 yards. It's a par 71. I really wish, though, FanDuel or DraftKings could put together another live final because I kind of am jonesing for it. 2 years ago was just a fun, or everything around it was good to be at the event itself, and I wish one of the sites could do something like that again. I think a lot of people would like to take a shot at it.
I would love to. I think that'd be fun.
It was an amazing experience. Being on the course, sitting on the 16th green was just amazing. That's where the DraftKings suite was. They also had box seats on the 18th, so we were overlooking the 18th green. We watched Ricky Fowler close it out a couple of years ago. It was pretty amazing experience. But the course was originally designed by Arnold Palmer. Had a revamping in 2007 by Gil Hans and Brad Faxon, so it's changed quite a bit. But it has 3 par 5s, 4 par 3s. There's a couple real short par 4s. They're drivable. The par 5s are kind of beasts. The 7th hole being 600 plus yards. That's probably not going to be a huge scoring hole, but the other two are definitely scoring par 5 scoring holes. So you're going to see some decent scoring this week. The fairways, like I said, are wide. So it's going to favor the Bombers, I think.
Yeah, sure.
On the 18th, there's a marsh in front of the 18th, so the guys have to make a decision whether they're going to lay up or go for it. If the tee's up, the marsh really comes into play, and you see a lot of guys going it if it's playing longer that day. Tons of trees, marshland. It's a challenge, but like I said, there's a lot of scoring opportunities on the course too. Last year, you'll remember Rory McIlroy tracked down Paul Casey on the last day to win victoriously. And then he also went on to win at Eastlake and the Tour Championship as well. So key stats this week: strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained putting, birdie or better percentage, par 4 scoring, and driving distance as well is what we're going to incorporate into our model this week. Be sure, though, you can definitely upload the model and change around the percentages and weightings however you feel. It's completely interactive.
Yeah. Whether you're using the actual spreadsheet or the interactive model, I always tweak things around, change things just to see, where someone seems to be popping a little bit, and maybe throw them in a few GPPs.
For sure, I always do. I put like 100% on one thing. So if I just want to look at current form, I'll do 100% on current form and 0 on the rest, just to see who's the hottest coming in. I kind of jockey those around, so it gives you an idea of different aspects of what's going on. Let's break down the pricing, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. There was some shifts in the pricing this week from last week. Last week we saw Matsuyama up top, Fowler up top. Well, those guys got a bump down, especially Fowler, and kind of switched up with Spieth and DJ again, which is to be expected, I guess. It was just last week was a bit of an aberration. Up top in that range, who are you looking at targeting this week?
I mean, if you're talking at the top, I do like Dustin Johnson the best still.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, like you said, you could see him maybe go on a big run here, possibly. And, I mean, how could you not be confident the way he finished off this last tournament?
Yeah, he looks good. And I think because of his price, I don't think him or Spieth are going to be massively owned, because I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot more balance involved this week. I think people, as far as roster composition go, are going to drop down because you see some guys in the 8 and 9K range, like Brooks Koepka at 8,700. That's inexplicable.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that's definitely nuts.
That's crazy. So his ownership is going to be jacked. It's going to be probably 25%. And then you also have Paul Casey at only 8,900, which is a decrease from last week.
He's been playing
Bizarre.
too well. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to ever go up. It's weird.
Absolutely bizarre. And in this event where he's had some success before, I think people are going to choose to drop down, because if you can lock in those two guys, I mean, that's crazy not to. So I think, and I also think Ricky at 9,700 is going to draw attention again.
He always does.
He always does. Man, I had a lot of Ricky last week. I actually paired him and DJ.
That third round was brutal.
Oh,
I
and
had
he
a lot
didn't
of them
play
too.
well.
Maybe
in the
that's
fourth
part of the
round.
reason why I didn't do so well. I don't know what he was doing then, but yeah, it was.
When I had him and DJ stacked on several teams, and they were tied for first going into day 3, and those teams just went beep. But I don't know what happened, and he didn't play that bad on the back nine. It was just the front nine that he just got crushed on. Yeah. And he tends to do that. He goes through stretches or holes, individual holes, where he just collapses, and it costs him chances in events. And but I'm going to stay on him. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to stay on him. He's going to be in my core again this week. So I just think that price decrease, and hopefully some people were discouraged by him. I don't know, though. I think he'll be owned by probably 20% plus this week. So, and then you have Rory at 98.
Now that's kind of reminds me of last week with DJ, was being like the 4th or 5th highest priced golfer, and I know Rory isn't playing exceptional right now, but yeah, having a 2-time winner here, I think, and last year, that's juicy too.
It is, and it I don't know. Can't decide on what his ownership's going to look like. It's probably going to be around 15% just because it's Rory. But I think people are concerned. But actually, when you look at his strokes gained tee to green numbers, they're not that bad.
No, and
He's not playing miserable.
if you're thinking people might not spend all the way up to 12 and they're going to try to go somewhere more in the middle, it's possible that he could get some ownership there. Like you were saying, maybe pairing Fowler with Brooks. Maybe someone chooses to do Rory and Brooks or Rory and Fowler. So I'm going to look at that and see how that ends up.
Jason Day got some love last week with ownership. He got an ownership bump, and I think at 9,500 he's been playing well. He had a good finish last week, so I think he's going to be popular up there as well. The only guys that I see that are going to be massively overlooked will probably be Usti, like he usually is at 9,100. And crazy enough, as well as he played last week, John Rahm at 10.6 and probably Justin Thomas at 10.3.
And I'm wondering if they shouldn't be, though.
Right, absolutely. So if you're looking to pivot off of those big names, although I don't know, I think if I'm going to pivot, I don't think Dustin Johnson's ownership is going to be great enough to discourage me to pivot off of him to like Rahm or Justin Thomas, as much as I like Dustin Johnson. Mm-hmm. Now, if I thought he was going to be owned by 35% of the field, then I could do it. I just don't think because of his price and the other value below him. We kind of saw with ownership numbers last week that people kind of did that. They dropped down to KC and Koepka and Kuchar in that 9K range, and I think they're probably going to do the same this week. So I think that's going to keep Spieth and DJ's ownership at a reasonable level. Let's drop down to that 8K range. Who are you seeing?
Well, you already mentioned Paul Casey. Like Paul Casey a lot. Kuchar?
Yep.
I mean, we're talking just form is pretty fantastic as a general lately. I've been using our rolling stats tool to try to see the last 16, the last 8, last 4, and I'm starting to see some trends of some of these guys that are actually been playing better than they have throughout the course of the duration of the season, and like in the case of Kuchar in strong field events. Mm-hmm. So I think Kuchar is a solid play there still, for sure. Charlie Hoffman sticks out a little bit to me.
This is a Charlie course.
I like Charlie Hoffman.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success. A couple years ago when we went out there, I owned some Charlie Hoffman. Unfortunately, I didn't have him in the Fantasy Golf World Championship, but Zach always likes to tell the story how we're following Charlie Hoffman, and we got our FGI gear on there, and we're standing. You can get really close to the players. There weren't actually that many people there, which is partially why I liked it so much, but you just follow along. You're probably a couple feet away from the players, your first row, in viewing them, as opposed to some events like at majors, you're like 10 people back and you're just looking for a peek. But he saw Zach's green Fantasy Golf Insider t-shirt and kind of looks at him like this. Just walks. Typical Charlie Hoffman, just no real reaction, just kind of shakes his head. But this is a Charlie course, so I definitely like Charlie Hoffman at 8,300 right here. But I think so are a lot of people, unfortunately. Justin Rose, as if 8,300 last week wasn't low enough, we're going to drop a little bit lower to 8,100 even after a pretty solid performance last
good,
week.
Actually, like the rolling stats numbers anyway showed that he played pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. The rolling stats tool is so sick. I absolutely love it. It's everything that I envisioned and wanted, and you did it, man.
Yeah, well,
it's awesome.
It's going to get better. We're going to add more stats, some more filters.
Yep. If you haven't used that, you have to use the rolling stats model. I use it so much. I use it for different segments of time. I love just looking at the short segments, so like the last 2 events, like the 8 rounds, or even dropping down to the last event, or for weekend golf, 2 rounds.
The last 2 rounds.
That's crazy how you can do that. It's amazing. It's going to help us dominate weekend golf even more than we already do. So, dropping down. Adam Scott's going to play this week. What do you think of that?
Well, he shows up. Well, that he's going to play, I think it means that he's worried about maybe not moving on. Right? Yeah. But also, I think he is a good play.
Is he?
I think so. I mean, I looked at, again, the rolling stats. I'm going to keep referring to that. And I think some of his course or his tournament history, too, kind of suggested as someone that I might be willing to take a shot on.
Sure.
Disagree?
My concern is his focus. Like, he just had the baby. He's been away. Has he been focusing on his game? Because coming in, he's been not very good, to be honest with you, this year. What I do like about it is the open course, because he's played well on open courses like this, like, say, Doral or something like that. He clearly played well. Long, big fairways, bomber type. If he could putt.
Yeah, if you stomach the putting.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Ownership, what's it going to be this week? 7,900. Popular?
Well, that's
or no?
the thing is it's pretty low price, and he's generally a popular player. But
yes.
I'm going to guess maybe it will be maybe a little lower than we're used to, though, because of some of the things that you're saying.
Yeah. I originally thought it was going to be low because he's coming off, the last couple events being gone. But then I looked back at his ownership for past events, and when he's in that mid 8K range, not to mention down at 7,900 this week, he's always popular. It's the name.
It's the name, yeah. And I mean, I guess when you play him, you're kind of expecting maybe probably a top 20 from someone like that, right?
And at 7,900, that's tolerable.
Yeah.
But when he's in the 9K range, that's not so good. But I think at 79, for those balanced rosters, yeah, you could definitely lock him in. Hell, you could partner him with Justin Rose. That's pretty sick for being under the average salary then. I like that. Yeah. I'm okay with it. Anyone else in this range? Chappell got a bump this week. He's at 8,600. Patrick Reed has a good course history here. He's at 8,500. He's been flashing some form lately, and I'm just a Patrick Reed guy, so I like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at my list here, and I think we touched on most of them that I like in that range. So yeah.
7K range. Daniel Berger, 7,600. That's intriguing. Is Bubba Watson back?
His last couple outings have been tolerable.
Can you trust him? Bomber course, wide open spaces for Bubba to roam.
I'm one of those guys that almost always plays them, like, especially if his ownership's going to be low. If it's going to be 7-10%, like, I'll throw a couple in there for sure.
All right. So you're on.
I'll play a little bit, yeah.
Okay. I'm the anti-Bubba, so I probably won't be on. I haven't rostered him in probably the better part of a year, so I most likely won't start this week. And also, I like some other options down there. Probably Phil is not one of them because he is just, although he's played well at TPC Boston, has not played well since he declined his U.S. Open.
Yeah, I've been saying yes to everybody, but I'm going to say probably no to him for now.
All right, fair enough. Here's a guy, 7,300. So did you catch Twitter Graham DeLette?
I was going to say this is the withdraw stuff. Yeah.
So we saw someone kind of, they tagged him on their tweet.
Oh, that's right. I saw that.
They tagged Graham and said, "You ruined my fantasy squads,"
and
or whatever.
Went off on him,
and he fires back. Yeah. And says, I don't give a damn about your fantasy. I care about my health or something.
He's shown that attitude, I think, for a while now. But at the same time, you can understand. I mean, he was probably frustrated to have to withdraw and having people yell at you about it. But
I'm kind of both sides. I kind of think they're both in the wrong. I wouldn't tag a golfer, especially when it deals with an injury. I just think it's not a classy move. It's not a good look. But then if you're Graham DeLette, maybe it was in the heat of the moment. But shut up, dude, because honestly, these guys have no concept of how big of a role fantasy sports can play in a sport. And if they don't recognize it, if they don't see it in football, then they're oblivious.
Well, those purses keep going up in these tournaments year after year after year.
Why do you think?
I don't know. Why? Is it the fans?
Yeah. Well, there's a huge boom in the audience, too. Did they think it's because of what? I mean, are they just saying it's Jordan Spieth and some of the younger players, Rory and Ricky and whatever? Or are they just ignoring DFS and fantasy golf? But I think they need to acknowledge it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think they both were kind of in the wrong.
Yep. I think he could have handled it better. If he just comes out and says, "Sorry, dude, I apologize next time," I think just taking that approach, like, I get that you're upset with me, bud, but it's my back. I need to kind of look out for it. I want to be back so you can pick me next tournament or something.
Yeah, I followed the thread a little bit through, and it does look like the person who wrote it originally did apologize and said that he was not trying to be that rude about it.
I know. People get carried away, and you get pissed off. Yeah. I totally get it, because I'm saying the same things. I just don't tweet it. I'm saying the same things, like, what the hell, dude? Yeah. But when guys withdraw. So that was that. So I will be ignoring Graham DeLette this week at any rate. Dropping down a little bit, who else we got in the 7K range? Anyone of interest?
What do you think about Patrick Cantlay this week?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because he's 72.
Yeah.
That's actually the interesting thing about DeLette, though, is I think most people are going to be looking at that range might go to Cantlay.
Yes, they will.
So he might be a pivot, though.
Who? DeLette?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Yeah, you can get him at probably 1% this week because no one's going to bite. Cantlay will be highly owned because I think he's one of those mispriced guys this week at 7,200. Going to get a big bump in ownership. Another guy down there, Tony Finau at 7,100. I mean, come on.
He's perpetually in the 7,000s, it seems like.
Last week he was owned by 30% across the board in GPPs, 30% plus. And this week he gets a price decrease. Given, well, he didn't make the cut, but given he plummeted on Sunday,
Yep.
I still don't think it warrants a price decrease for that. So I think his ownership's going to be in the 20s as well.
Well, it seems like it always is when he's in that range.
Yeah,
so I
for
would
sure.
expect it, yeah.
Yep. And on this course, I think, although he crushed one of my teams a couple years ago, just disgusting. Him and Koepka, those bastards. But yeah, dropping down a little bit. Mark Leishman at 6,900. My goodness, that's a screaming buy right there.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, he shows up pretty nicely on my list here too.
Does he?
Yeah. What do you think about Jonathan Vegas?
I am not a Jonathan Vegas whisperer because I can't tell you when that guy is going to show up. I wish I could.
Form's pretty hot right now.
It is. Yep. He's a definite GPP play. I wouldn't touch him in cash ever, but clearly has a high ceiling. So you could mix him into your GPPs. The price is right this week at $7K. So you could roster 3 of those guys in the $9K range, and there's still plenty of value down here. Like I said, Leishman, that price sticks out. Yeah, he missed last week. Yeah, he wasn't very good, but I can probably overlook that because coming into it, he has been pretty good. He's had a solid season. Again, I'm not a Mark Leishman whisperer either. I can never seem to get him right, but I think that price is good. Xander Schauffele at 6,900 is another screaming buy. I had him in my core last week at, I think it was $7K last week. Performed amazing, like he has many times this year in big, good field events.
He's been really, really good.
Yes, he has. So I like him down in that range. Molinari at 6,900. I don't know about his ownership this week because he crushed a lot of people. He was highly owned in GPPs last week, 20% plus, especially the big one, the 888. I think he was 25%.
That's one of the guys that sunk me, I think. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
But he still grades out pretty nicely for me when I kind of look at some of the off the tee,
Yep.
which is surprising because it doesn't come off as someone you'd think that has huge distance, but it was still pretty good actually.
Yep. Can you go back this week?
I think I will. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
I think I will too. Actually, I didn't have him in my core last week because I thought he was going to be highly owned, so I faded him, and it turned out well that happened. But I think I can go to him this week actually.
Yeah.
Even though it's more of a bomber's course. Shorter hitters can succeed. Zach Johnson has played well here in the past. Cooch has had some good success here. So shorter hitters, or Patrick Reed's another guy who has played well here as well. So you can succeed. I just think the edge goes to the Bombers. Dropping down in the 6K range, not a whole lot that interests me. There's a few names in here. Well, first of all, anyone that stands out to you. Ian Poulter stands out. He's another guy whose price just kind of stays the same no matter how well he plays.
And if I recall, he had a little bit of a disappointing last time I ended up playing him too. So I was like,
He's been really good though.
Yeah, right. Generally leading up to that. In the 6,000s, if it is a Bombers course, you could maybe look at Luke List.
Yep.
I mean, I know he can't putt either, but
No, he cannot. But he could score.
But yes, he can score.
Yeah,
So.
and he could mix in the eagle, especially on the short par fours. He could drive the green and score. So
And I'm sure probably like a weekend favorite if he makes the cut.
absolutely, he's one of my favorite weekend guys, along with Cooch. Cooch again with another good weekend showing last week. Possibly David Lingmerth down in this range. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on just about everyone down in this range. I think what I will do with my lineup composition is probably stay in the 7K range, build around that so I don't have to dig too deep in the 6K range outside of like Schauffele and Poulter.
I don't think Kevin Tway has been playing as well in the last couple events as he had been leading up to it, but he kind of also reminds me of someone that could do well in this kind of setup maybe.
Yep, absolutely. Good GPP type play. Anyone else that you want to talk about heading into the week?
Maybe one last one.
Yes.
So Martin Laird,
Yeah.
he withdrew a couple tournaments ago, but he had shot like a 4-under round, I think, and then came back the next week and played pretty well, I thought. At least the first couple rounds I was keeping tabs on him. So, for 60, I think 68, it might not be the worst.
You know what I do with Martin Laird?
Oh, there you go. Just flip a coin.
Yep, pretty much. I never know with Martin Laird. So take a shot on him if you like. Before we wrap up, you want to talk a little bit about the fight? Did you see that on Saturday night?
I did.
What'd you think?
Well, it was very entertaining. I thought it was really entertaining. At first, watching Mayweather just keep getting backed into the corner, playing really defensive, and I was wondering, is McGregor winning these rounds? Is this actually going to happen?
Was he winning them, or were the judges letting him win them?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then the hammer punch that McGregor kept throwing on him.
Awesome.
But I was confused why Mayweather kept turning his back to him.
Oh, yeah.
But then I guess it kind of, in the end, just kind of played out kind of how we thought it might.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a few takes on it. First of all, it did. Zach and I last week on the podcast talked about it and said this is exactly how it's going to go. Mayweather's going to get him. He's going to outclass him. McGregor's going to run out of gas in the later rounds, and Mayweather wins. That's what we said. Zach even took the stance on Twitter. He tweets out, "Oh, this is my lock of the century." He does one of these guaranteed, get your money
Get every
in.
dime you can scrounge
And I'm thinking,
up, yeah.
Zachary, what are you doing, man? I get that you're
better be
adamant about
right.
it, and I am too, but he's -4, -500. But Zach, to give him credit, when the odds first came out, Mayweather was -1100, and Zach was ready when we went to Vegas to just do this at -1100. So when Zach was out in Reno, I know he put a nice chunk of change on Mayweather at -400. I think he got him at. So props to him that he had the balls to do it. It didn't. The risk was not very. I didn't like the reward for the amount of risk, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I chose not to bet on it. But early on, McGregor was clearly winning those rounds, no matter what the. And boxing judges, my God, this is one of the reasons we used to watch every single boxing fight when we were younger. And now we've kind of moved to MMA, and this just kind of reifies why we've done that, because I get tired of guys turtling up like Mayweather did, or grasping and clawing, just grasping on and wait for the referee to separate you. And I just want to see him fight out of it. And this referee did not let them fight out of a damn thing. He broke every single time they clinched. So I'm definitely an MMA fan more than a boxing fan, but. When I saw the judges' scorecards, they were ridiculous. They had Mayweather winning those first few rounds.
Yeah, I noticed
absurd.
That. Yeah,
that was absolutely absurd because he did not win those rounds.
Yeah.
I think he threw 6 punches in the first
round. Yeah, I don't
round.
remember. It was hide. That's what it seemed like the whole time.
And he turtled up, but in the end, McGregor just absolutely flat ran out of gas, and you could see it happening. He just crescendoed, and then Mayweather was just waiting for that opportunity, like Mayweather always does. If you've seen any of his fights, this is what he always does.
Yeah, and he got more aggressive than usual, just started chasing him throughout the ring.
For sure.
Trying to just wail on him. Yeah.
Yep. So I was rooting for McGregor, but I kind of knew that he wasn't going to win, and it was. Did you put the $100 down, or did you go?
We did pay-per-view at somebody's.
Did you?
Night, yeah.
Okay, all right. So you split up the cost.
We did. We split up the costs, and like
right.
I said, I was thoroughly entertained for the whole thing. We watched all the undercard matches, and it was it was worth it. It was fun. I played cards.
Nice. Did you win enough to pay for
I did. Yep.
your portion?
Yep, I did. So.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. I plunked down. I was home by myself, kind of going back and forth, like, am I going to buy it? Am I not? I know what's going to happen. And I ended up plunking down the $100. And I was kind of mixed on whether that was a good investment or not. But, well, I just didn't want to miss something. If something great happened, I didn't want to miss it. So I did watch it, but that's our takes on it. If you have any questions for us, you can always email us, info@fantasygolfinsider.com. We're at Fantasy Golfers on Twitter. Check out our stuff. Check out our tools, our golf, clearly, and then obviously our football in the fall, too, is going to be hot. So be sure to keep your premium memberships going. Otherwise, we're on to the Dell Technologies Championship, and then next week, the third leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, and then the Tour Championship, and then right back into fall golf.
There we go.
Not much break. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.